Good morning. How is everybody today? Can't even answer because right now this is a one-way conversation. um, if you have comments, please do leave a comment. I can even pop them up here as we go. Today, I am going to talk about a situation I had earlier this week, and that was overwhelming. I um, I've got some situations going on, both financially as well as um, some family things. And over the weekend, I kind of was going through some of the paperwork and going through some of what was going on. And Monday morning, when I came to my desk, normally I come to my desk and I do thought work every morning. I try to do it every morning. I don't do it every morning. And when I say thought work, it's trying to get all that's going on in my head that could get in the way of me actually getting done what I need to get done for the day. I do some self-coaching, and we can talk about that another time. But I came into the office. This is my office. I came into my office and I was so anxious. I was so overwhelmed. I was I really was like my body was, I could feel it. It was palpable. I was shaking. I wasn't shaking. But I was just, I was a little bit shaking. I could feel the vibration of something looming. And I felt like I was losing it. I felt like I was losing my mind. And in these situations, when you feel like you are going to lose your shit, and I'm just going to say it. If you don't like swearing, I apologize. But when you feel like you are going to lose your shit, it is because of something going on here. Oftentimes we think it's because of what's going on out here. And when I sit down to do thought work, it is to kind of look at what are the thoughts in my head that are causing me to feel certain things. So what was I thinking that was causing me to feel the anxiety, to feel the overwhelm, to feel out of control? That's how I felt. And on Monday, I couldn't even do that. I was literally, it was ready to explode. Now, this could happen if you have situations going on personally, if you have things going on in the office, if you have things going on in your friendships, any of those things can cause thoughts that are going to create the anxiety, the stress, the overwhelm, the frustration. Oftentimes we think it's what's out here. And normally I can be observant of what am I thinking, what is actually going on, and go through my self-coaching model, which I can teach you later if you want. But Monday, it was too much. I was ready to lose my shit. And so I did. And I want to give you 5 tips for losing your shit in a way that isn't going to alienate other people. It isn't throwing up, so to speak, emoting, vomiting your emotions onto someone else. Even if you feel like you need to share what's going on with you, you can do it in a way that is, you need to process the emotions first. You need to get in a place where you can actually share from your prefrontal cortex, because when you're sharing from that amygdala, from that fight, flight, or freeze place, people are going to freak out. And so if you freak out on your own and process those emotions, and even in the moment on Monday, my thought wasn't even it was a little bit about I need to move this energy. That was what I thought. I needed to, and I didn't even think. I just did it. So here's the 5 things. I screamed. And I screamed 4, 5, 6 times. Now, that is a way to sometimes move the energy through so that you can actually get to a place of being the observer and being in a place of understanding and starting to look at and think, coming back to that brain, that prefrontal cortex. If you have other people in the home, if you have pets in the home, if you're in the office, you could bring a little like back pillow and have a back pillow at your chair so that when you need to scream, you can go in the restroom and scream into the pillow. If you're in an office environment, don't scare people. Make sure if there are people in the house, they understand that you're doing this on purpose and that you're safe and that you're okay. And the other thing is don't scream from here. Oftentimes, if we scream from here, you're going to hurt your vocal cords. You're going to strain your voice. Try to, and I can't really show, but down in the gut, really scream from your gut, scream from your solar plexus, just below your rib cage, scream from there. The second thing I did was I allowed the emotions to flow. And for me, oftentimes, if I have a super intense emotion, I cry. And so for some other people, like there's a gentleman I know who I worked with this process called reevaluation counseling, and he laughs. He'll laugh when he has got a very intense emotion. He laughs. Other people, it might be something else. For me, I cried, and it didn't take long. I made sure that I didn't get stuck in the thought cycle. I just let the emotion flow. I didn't even bring up or think about anything at the time. The third thing I did, which is super important if you ever look at a bird that hits a window, and if it falls to the ground, it looks like it's dead. And sometimes they do die when they fall into the window. I've seen that happen. Oftentimes they don't, though. But they'll lay there like they're dead. And what they're doing, well, this happens in a lot of, this happens in the wild. Animals will play dead so that because certain animals don't want to eat dead food, they want to capture it and kill it and eat it. They don't want something that's already dead. And what the bird will do after it hits the window, lays there for a bit, it will shake. And I'm demonstrating that for you is really shake as much as you can your arms and your legs and get that. And an emotion is energy in motion. And when we stuff it down, when we hold it back, it's toxic. And I'll come back to that in a minute. I want to get through all 5 of these first. And this one's going to go, I've been trying to keep these at 10 minutes, but this one's going to go a little longer because there's 5 things and I want to explain these. So number 1, I screamed. I was frustrated. I was anxious, and screaming just felt like the natural thing to do at the time. And so I screamed. Second thing was let the emotion flow. So letting the emotion flow for me was crying. And it wasn't, I didn't allow a bunch of thoughts to allow me to spiral downward and just suck me into crying and crying and crying and crying. There's actually an organization called 6 Seconds it's called that because if you allow an emotion, it will flow through in 6 seconds. And often it'll come back and it'll come back. And if you keep allowing it, it'll flow through in 6 seconds. And then the third thing I did, as I showed you earlier, is I shook. So I'll just do one side this time. Shaking. I do this in the car. If somebody cuts me off and I get freaked out by, there's that rush of adrenaline, your body needs to let that go. Just like that bird shakes after it hits the window, you need to find a way to physically allow that adrenaline to move through your body or it gets stuck. And we'll talk about that getting stuck and the toxicity of that. The fourth thing I did was I stepped away. I actually, because this was happening right here and kind of over in my doorway area. And so I stepped away. I went into the other room. I think I didn't have earrings on, so I put some earrings on. I just really stepped away and got away, physically away from where it was happening, which was really helpful. Sometimes separating ourselves from the situation can be so helpful. In a meeting, I've done this. I've seen people do it where they will say, "Would you excuse me? I need to use the restroom." And they get up and they go to the restroom. Some people I know will cry in the restroom and then come, recompose themselves and come back. Sometimes they will just be like, and if you can't scream, if you think people are going to freak out if you scream in the office, maybe a roll of toilet paper would work, or a handful of paper towels could help muffle it. The other thing I've done at another conference I was at, we were doing some things outside, feeling emotions, and people in the area, it was at a resort and other people in the area were freaking out. So take a towel, maybe take a paper towel at work, or take a jacket, we're in here, we're in the winter, take a sweater or a jacket and just, twist it and see if you can allow it that way if screaming in the moment doesn't work. So I screamed, allow the emotion, shake, physically shake your body, step away, give physical distance, even if it is a couple of feet. Even if, let's say you're in the meeting and you can't leave the room, maybe just standing up and walking to another part of the room. Sometimes just getting physically away from the actual space. And I've done this, when I practice this, there's actually a practice around this that I'll share later. If anybody's interested, DM me. There's an actual practice of practicing feeling your emotions to see what they feel like, because so many of us have stuffed them down for so long, we don't even know what they feel like. So stepping even just a foot away can really be helpful. And then the fifth thing, which oftentimes is the first thing people suggest that you do to calm and ground yourself, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it at the beginning. I needed to get the physicality of the emotion that was rising, that was bubbling, that was feeling like it was ready to explode. Like literally, I felt like I was going to lose my shit. And in a way I did. I allowed myself to lose my shit. And then the last thing I did is I sat in my chair. I put my feet flat on the floor. I got my back straight. And I started to picture, and this is a meditation that I've done, and I think I even have it recorded somewhere, where it's just a couple of minutes of picturing a cord from the top of the head all the way through. And if you're sitting in a chair, through your tailbone down into the earth. And picture like this beautifully braided gold cord going into the earth. And just allowing the stress, allowing the anxiety, allowing the overwhelm to just flow into the earth. And so breathing in energy from the universe, whatever you believe, could be God, maybe you have God energy, Allah energy, spirit energy. And as it's flowing through, it's cleansing and allowing all of that anxiety, all of that stress, all of that energy that isn't serving you in the moment to actually go into the earth. And Mother Earth then can do what it does, transmute that energy, transform that energy. And there are ways then to bring some of that energy back. I have been told, and I believe this, Earth energy is very heavy, very dense. And so you never want to bring Earth energy unless you're going to sleep, ready to go to sleep all the way through your body. You just bring it up into your hips and then back down, up into your hips and back down, because you don't want that heavy energy. But that breathing in and letting go, dropping the shoulders, dropping, allowing to just really picture all of that stress and anxiety going into the earth, through your feet, through the cord, allowing it to eliminate. And I couldn't do it at the beginning because there was just too much going on. I had to allow the physicality of the stress, the anxiety, the overwhelm to actually be expressed. Now, the thing we have to be careful with is later I was able to share with several people. In fact, last night at a networking event, I shared with someone what happened. And I shared with my husband later what happened. And I was able to share it and express, I shared the emotions that I was having without vomiting those emotions on someone else. I don't even remember where I first heard this, but other people aren't garbage cans with a hairy lid. They're not there for you to vomit all of your thoughts and emotions and everything that you haven't allowed and processed on your own. People can help you when you have felt it and allowed it and can then come back. Because when I was in the midst of that, I was in the reptilian brain. I was in the amygdala. This was offline. I couldn't think. I couldn't do the self-coaching I normally do. I could not get to conscious, logical thought, rational thought. And so I couldn't even move on with my day. I couldn't get things done until I allowed that emotion to actually happen, to be physically expressed, to, go back down into the earth. And then I was able to have a great productive day on Monday. Had I not allowed myself to do that, it would have been a completely different day. I probably would have ruminated about it. I probably would have been totally stressed out the entire day. So I'm offering you these 5 things so that when you have that emotion, I wanted to come back to the toxicity. When we just stuff that down, when we stuff down the stress, when we stuff down the anxiety, when we stuff down the frustration, the anger, the overwhelm, it becomes toxic in our body. Now, most of us can't feel it. Most of us don't know it. It is a silent toxicity. And I think what I've been sharing with people lately is that so many of us don't even realize that our stress levels are so high, because we've gotten so used to the baseline of stress in our life, the baseline of the cortisol in our bodies is so high, we don't even realize that that's not normal. And getting to that place of true relaxation, of true calm, grounded focus is something that we have. It's sparse moments of time that we have that. And so what I would like to do is to offer you these ways of being able to move through emotions, being able to lose your shit so that you can get back to that grounded, focused way of being. So if you have any questions, I do have actually a freebie that is now available. It is somewhat related to this. It's 3 strategies to work less, because working fewer hours, and this is for people who are working consistently 50, 60, 70 hours a week because you have a stress baseline that you're not probably realizing is too high, that cortisol is toxic in your system. It creates sorts of health issues, relationship issues, when we're stuffing down emotions, when we are not processing our emotions, it is creating a toxicity that is going to come and bite us in the ass at some point. So I'm offering you these 5 strategies. You can use one, you can use multiple. For me, I think I needed them all on Monday. I hope they help. Again, screaming, feeling the emotion, shaking your body vigorously, changing where you are, even if it is by a foot or two, just getting up and moving a bit, changing your location. And then the 5th thing is breathing, really consciously breathing in and out. And when you breathe out, picture that stress, that anxiety, the emotion that's not serving you in the moment to just go into the earth and dissipate. I hope you have a great day. Have a great rest of your week. DM me if you are interested in the freebie I have for 3 strategies to work less. I will be posting some of that on social media soon. You'll see some things about that because I think when we are working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, we are doing damage to our bodies and our relationships that we don't even realize, I think, for a while. So have a great day and have a great rest of your week.